I am Robert McNamara. I am the founding president emeritus of Franklin Pride. We've been around since 2021, right as we were coming out of the pandemic. We had our first Pride celebration.
See the shirt?
Yeah, we got the inaugural shirt on here.
What led up to the birth of Franklin Pride? Like, was it like one inciting moment that had you be like, we need this? Or was it like sort of like a build-up of things? Or maybe like other Pride events that you've seen like in the past?
I think Franklin Pride came about basically through conversations with some friends, sitting around talking about the community and the downfalls of the community, talking about some of the churches, how the churches were very unfair. In fact, they find out a person is trans or gay or whatever, they send them off to reparative therapy, and that's just not acceptable. And so that kind of got our dander up. Plus, my husband and I had just moved here from Nashville and didn't know where the gay community was or how big the community was. So the combination of that led to the founding of Franklin Pride.
That's awesome. Do you ever go out to other Pride festivals, like in other times of year, to go do your own like field research to see how you like what ideas you can bring to Franklin Pride?
Right. Yeah, of course I do. But being, almost 70 years old, I've been to a lot of prides. My first Pride was I'm from Michigan, so my first Pride was in Detroit, Michigan. God, I can't remember when that was. It would have been 81, maybe 82, 1982. And then I've been to Pride almost every year since then. In Atlanta, in Nashville, North Carolina. And then the group of people that were in this, the founding board members, we didn't really know how to do it. We just made it work.
You're just
we
I want
just
to do
did
it.
And we just did it.
Yeah. Obviously, as you said, you're like a veteran of like Pride events going back to like 81, 82. For you, like, are there any like big differences between like Pride events, like maybe like in the past, like compared to now?
Well, now it seemed like we should be much farther ahead than we are.
Yeah.
I think the thing that hits me the most is that they're trying to push us back, or that our rights are being trampled on. Like especially here in Franklin, not being able to have a drag show at the Pride. That's the biggest thing. Pretty much everything else kind of falls in step. It's smiling faces is always, everybody just seems to be happy and in good mood, and it's just a safe, wonderful experience. And we still have that, but we just currently don't have the drag, and that's very upsetting.
What's your favorite event in like the past at Franklin Pride?
To me, it's mostly the smiling faces. That's what gets me.
Yes.
And the presence of families. There's so many young families, straight married couples, bringing their children in strollers and toddlers and at every age level. And that just blew me away the first year that we had Pride. And I saw all these families, and it just, it choked me up. I mean, it's just amazing that there's so many wonderful people that want their family to grow up and their children to grow up being loving, accepting, and embrace everybody in the community. So that just blew me away.
Exactly. I feel like especially with like Pride events, like Franklin Pride, especially considering like the area we live in, I think it's very important, especially like if there's so many like families who live here, and I love to see if there are families coming to these types of things. It's not only an event for the existing community gather, but obviously you can gather like everyone else and just say like it's not weird, it's not bad to be gay. Everyone is here enjoying themselves, everyone's smiling, having fun. It's a good way to gather.
Exactly, and that's part of our motivation too. Is that we want to bring Pride to Franklin and Williamson County to show exactly that we are loving, caring people in the community. We embrace family. We are family. We have our own families. We come from families that differ from each other. Some families are very accepting. Some, and there's a lot of kids that the family has tossed them out because of this or whatever. So we want to showcase that this is family. We are all family, and we belong here. We belong in wherever we are. We belong there. Some people have moved to this area trying to get away from the LGBTQ or what they call woke.
Yes.
But we're here, you know, we're not going to move away just because you came here and said, go.
Exactly.
We're going to be here, we're going to exist here, and we're going to love our neighbors as everybody should. We're going to move forward. We're going to have another Pride on June 7th next year, and we'll have another happy gay event.
Yay! I would say that's the past few statements you made are very fitting. I would say especially like Franklin being like obviously like very conservative. I would say like it's very important to say we're here, we're queer.
Right,
gathering.
exactly.
Going back like all the way back to like when you're like in Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
what led you to come to your first Pride event? Did you have friends that like maybe like went to them in the past, or like was this like the first Pride event in your area?
Okay, so I guess if I can remember that far back. So I was living in Lansing, Michigan. I had just come out. There was no organization in Lansing. So my friends in Lansing, they all said, let's go to Detroit, you know. So we loaded up in my friend's car and went and spent the day, and it was fabulous. It was at the fairgrounds in Detroit, and it was massive big. There was a ton of people. And then from then on, I just went every year.
Everything from there.
Yeah. Now Nashville Pride has grown tremendously. I mean, it's massive big at this point. But when I first moved here in '91, it wasn't that big. I can remember, very small pride parades, like a handful of people. It was at Centennial Park, and it's moved around and eventually has grown into this big, wonderful, massive celebration, and still love going. Yeah, so.
I did notice your nail polish on your hands.
Oh.
Do you like to paint your nails?
I paint just the one nail, a little splash of color.
It's hanging on.
Everybody has to feel pretty.
Exactly. What was it like living at home? I think when I was reading it, how many siblings did you have?
Oh, I'm from a family of 17 children.
I was about to say that, 17. Yeah. I remember it was a lot.
So I'm the ninth child of 17. 8 older, 8 younger. And I have one sister who is out lesbian, and myself, and pretty much everybody else is straight that I know of. Yeah. I was that middle child syndrome. When the young kids were doing something fun, I was too old and I was too young to hang with the big kids, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of felt like I got left out a lot, but it was a pleasant childhood. We lived in a small town where we'd hike out into the country and, for the day, or haul our sleds out to this big hill. And I guess for me, being gay, I didn't come out till I was 18.
Yeah.
But I've known, in retrospect, I look back and I've known since second grade. I remember at a very young age sitting in church of all places, and we had a new priest, and he was tall and handsome, and I was just, like my jaw didn't drop because I was in second grade.
But in your head,
but like right now I'd be like,
Yeah.
But no, he was just so handsome. So that was the first inclination that I knew, and then I liked other boys, but I somehow just suppressed it, and I just put it because I just, thought it was, naughty and whatever, and it was, everything you hear, it's not supposed to happen. So I just suppressed it for many years.
Do you feel like it was more church, or was it like your peers that would tell you these type of things?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Everything?
I think it was a little bit of church, older siblings talking, and then peer, school kids, And I was sort of effeminate. I was the type of person that would have easily been bullied. I was just soft-spoken enough, no gumption, no drive.
It just makes it like an easy target for people.
Right, and I think the only reason that I didn't get bullied was having so many siblings. So.
We're saying, so if they make fun of you, you're like, well, I have my 16 other siblings. Don't mess with me.
That's right. So nobody messed with me. Nobody dared mess with me. When I look back, I guess I just knew I wasn't being authentic.
Yes.
And wasn't being who I really am. So I couldn't wait to get out of there. Ran off and joined the Army, right after high school.
You said you came out when you were 18. I'm assuming you graduated high school when you were 18.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Army straight after? Did you?
Yeah. So I actually maybe I didn't come out until I was 20, because I was in the Army for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I did not come out in the Army.
Because
So
I was gonna say that
it
I was
would've
like
been-
in the Army.
So I would have been 21 actually when I came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did. I went through 4 years of the Army. I got married, and we were married for 3 years. That was kind of simultaneous with the military as well.
Yeah.
And then I eventually moved back to Lansing and was living in Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah.
And we got a divorce, and I came out during that process.
What would you say to queer youth in Tennessee?
Gosh, that's a
That's a hard
one right now.
question.
It is a hard question. You know, the thing is you're just gonna, hang in there. Life is going to get better. It's going to improve for you. If you're having a rough time now, find a way to make your path work for you. If you can reach out to some organizations like Wilco Iris or any organization that can give you some help, or urge your parents to come to PFLAG. But find your path forward, and even if it's closeted, you don't have to come out immediately. You can live a quiet life and wait for the right time to come out. But be as true to yourself as you can, and as soon as you can. As far as hope, what I see as hopeful, that's a really tough one right now. It's because I think we're looking at some really difficult years ahead, especially for the trans
It's hard to think about
community.
the future.
But the hope is that, I guess the hopefulness is that we will get through whatever we're going to go through. If there's any kind of a storm or whatever, we will get through it, and we'll get through it together. So find your pal and hunker down, and we will get through, and we'll come out shining and bright and gay and fabulous.
Exactly. One of the most important things, I would say, especially if you're feeling discriminated against or small because you're gay, I feel like so much of it is just finding one small thing or a few things you can just find solace in. It could still be hard.
Yeah.
I'm saying you have to at least have one thing.
Yeah.
That gets you through.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And just power on through, and eventually you'll get there. And it may look like forever away, but the day will come and you will shine, and it will happen for you.
Be fabulous.
Yes.
That too. Thank you for joining us for Mentor Mondays. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
You're
it was
welcome.
a pleasure being here, and thanks for the invitation. I love it.
Thank you.